Filters allow you to include and or exclude certain information in your report each time it's run. You can set filters here in your version, your custom version of your report, and then you can also allow others to change the filters when they run the report and they need to view it. So to get to the filters, you're going to go into the report options menu and select filters. Here you can use any of the data from any data sets in the categories you've selected. I have only the contracts category for my report, and I can select any of the data and filter any of the data in the 4 data sets within this category. So the first thing I'm going to filter by is company code. So I'm going to scroll down until I find company code. I can highlight and click add to move this over to our filter list. I can double click, or I could just click and drag the filter information. Now, here's my company code filter, and right now it's telling the system I want to filter by a company that equals this. So I could say company 2, and it would filter, or when I ran the report, it would filter and give me results or data for only company 2. I could also expand this list and say is one of, and I could say company 1, click the plus button, then say company 2 and click the plus button again, and now my report will return results from anything that is one of company 1 or 2. The next thing I'm going to sort by in my report is date sold. I'm going to put this here and I'm going to say is between, because I want a date range and I want to be able to change this date range every time I run the report. So I'm going to select prompt for value, and rather than put in specific dates like February 1st through February 31st, I'm going to leave it generic so that I can change that every time that it prompts me to. So to do that, I'm going to come over here and use the FX button. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to say the first day of last month to the first day, or to the last day of last month. And then when I am prompted, it's going to default to January 1st through January 31st. But when I'm prompted, I could change that to any date range I would like. So I could change it to February 1st to today. I could change it to November 1st through November 15th. Because I've selected prompt for value, it will allow me to do that. Now another another filter that could be helpful in a report that you want to run is to come in here and say active tags. Now the first 2 filters that I selected are things I want to include in my report, but this one I'm going to tell the system I want to exclude something. So I have active tags and I'm going to say does not contain BK. So I want results returned as long as they do not contain any BK information. So if there's a BK7, BK13, any BK tag associated with an account, I don't want that returned. I want to add another tag to exclude. So I can say, I can check group with next filter, and I can change this and to include or. And you can see here if you hover, it will tell you that the or filter will require that either be true. So if you're going to say, I want to exclude this, anything that has this, anything that has that, anything that has that, then you're going to say or, so that if it contains BK or contains the next filter or contains the next one, it won't return those. So I'm going to pull active tags over again, and this time I'm going to say does not contain OFR. I don't want any accounts that are out for repo in my report. So then I'm going to click OK. And now when I preview my report, I'm going to get results based on the filters that I selected. So my results will only be the company codes, the accounts that do not contain BK or out for repo, and then here I'm being prompted to select the date range I want to include. So I'm going to say that I want to include October 1st through December 31st. So I'll get a quarter's worth of data. Now I could have also selected October 1st and then said the October 1st through the last day of last year. I could have said the first day of last quarter and then the first day of, or the last day of last quarter. So you can filter generically or you can select specific dates. You can also just highlight and type in the date if you'd like. So then I'm going to click OK. The system is going to run the report and return results based on the filters that I selected. So now I have all the accounts in the date range that I selected. So here's some from November, October, there's some in December, but those are the only date ranges that are included. All the data is from December back to October. It's company 1 or company 2, and none of these accounts have bankruptcy or repo tags. One thing you'll notice is that there are some accounts here that don't have any balances. So I may need to filter to remove those because obviously they shouldn't be in my report. So I can come back, I'll close my preview windows and I'll come back to my edit window and I'll go back into filters. I have the company code returning company 1 and 2. My date sold is between the date range I select, and then I have excluding bankruptcy and repo tags. But I'm probably not telling the system that I only want to see active accounts. So I'm going to pull that tag over and I'm going to move it up in my priority list just to ensure that that is something that the system is looking for right away. I only want active accounts to return in my report. So here it says equal to, and I can just type in true. I could have used the drop down and said true or false, and then I'm going to click OK. Now when we return the report results, we should see all the results from our filters, including only active accounts. So I'm going to go back to October 1st through December 31st, and I'll run the report. And remember, when you're running a report, the execution process could take up to a couple minutes depending on the amount of data you're asking the system to return. So now I have my date range intact. I have company 1, company 2, and then you can see all those accounts that have been written off have now been removed from my results. So that is how you add filters to your report. And if you want to make sure that others that view your report have the ability to filter the way they would like to, you can go back into your report options menu in your edit view, click on options, and then you can select always show filters on execution, and it will show you all the filters that you have included in your report. So if I click OK and then I click preview one more time, you'll see that as the system pops up, I'm getting filters, or I'm getting the request to prompt again. I'm just going to click OK. It's going to execute this one. It'll run. I'm going to close that. I'm going to save my results. If I close this, and I'm sorry, we'll sign back in. Remember, as you're building reports, if you are in the report making edits, you're fine. Once you save the report and you move to another area, you will be prompted to log back into the system. So just be aware that will happen, but you won't lose any of your data, and if you've created a report, it won't kick you out ever until you click save and you try to go somewhere else in the system. So now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to run this report just by clicking on it in my custom folder. And I should see my filter window open to prompt me again. So I've set that to always prompt, and now anybody who runs this report could come in and they can change the date range and then view the information how they want to. You can also prompt in the edit view, you can prompt the other filters as well so that people could change the company they want to see. They could change the tags that are added. So as long as you click that prompt on execution button when you're creating the filters, then people will be able to change those when they run the report themselves.